There are so many ways for you to show up online, profit, and make an impact with your business. That's what the Heart-Centered Business Success Show is all about. Inspiring you with stories of generous women and equipping you with real strategies to help your business succeed, because I know you've got a powerful gift to share. Thanks for tuning into the show. Thank you, Rachel, for being here. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Rachael Kullman, who is an infant and child sleep coach and just a delightful woman and human being. So thank you for being here, Rachel.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about you and what you do in your business?
Mm-hmm. So, like Anna said, I am an infant and child sleep coach, and basically I work with families who have children between the ages of newborn to 5 years old who are struggling with sleep issues. And kind of all started when my daughter didn't sleep well, and she was about a year old. I was depressed and sleep deprived, and I got some help, and it just changed our family life. And so I wanted to give that to other moms and other families. So that's kind of where I started out from. And my heart in my business is to offer parents kind of the support that they need at a really hard time, difficult time of their lives. I often find that parents actually know what they should be kind of doing or what direction they should be going, and they just need that kind of extra encouragement and coaching on the side, and that's what I love to give them.
I love that, Rachel. And I can just say from working with you, like on the receiving end, that I feel like you do ride both of those roles so well. Like you are like a knowledgeable teacher and mentor, but you also are a coach in the sense that you really let parents make the decisions and honor like the path that they want to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's something that's really important to me, not kind of coming across, like you should parent your children this way, because every family has to decide that for themselves, but encouraging the parents to be true to themselves while giving them those tips.
I love that. So take us back to the very start of, obviously you told us a little, like this unfolded from like you having sleep struggles in your house, but when did this convert into a business for you? And tell us the story of your first client, which I haven't heard this story yet, so I cannot wait to hear it.
So yeah, like I said, it basically started when my daughter slept terribly, and after a year of sleepless nights, I was like, this has to change. I can't survive like this. So we got the help of another sleep coach, and within 3 days, she was sleeping through the night with hardly any tears. And I was like, this is heaven.
Amazing.
And so that's when I started thinking, like, this is something that I've experienced. I often find that things that we experience are actually where we can speak best into other people's lives, because we have that empathy and compassion as well. And so I decided to train as a sleep coach. That took a little while, and then basically just started kind of sharing with friends and family. First off, I live in Switzerland. It's really not very common here. Sleep coaching, people often look at me and kind of go, what do you do? And so it took a little while to take off. And so my first client was the sister-in-law of my neighbor. And to be honest, it was the best first client experience I could have wished for. She came to my office. Mostly I was wanting to do telephone coaching, but she wanted to come and see me. So she came and saw me. And her little boy was awake. He was, I think, 16 months old. He was awake every 1.5 to 2 hours in the night. And she was just exhausted. It had gone on for months like this. And within 2 days and tweaking his day routine, he was super overtired. Tweaking his day routine, he slept 12 hours through the night after 2 days.
Rachel, that's amazing. That's amazing.
It was amazing. And I think for me, because I had volunteer clients through my training and all of that stuff, but this was the first obviously client that I was earning for. And so I was a little bit nervous of like, does this work? Otherwise, is this gonna work? And she was just over the moon, and she's done a lot of recommendations for me since then. And we keep in touch a little bit. So
That I love that story for so many reasons. First, because you got such amazing results, right? And you proved to yourself. And I totally resonate this. When I started my own business, I was working with women in the same capacity that I had in a non-entrepreneurial way, but there's still that feeling of, oh, when I'm actually receiving those PayPal invoices, can I do the same thing that I've always done, right?
Yeah.
So I love it for that, like that you proved it to yourself, but I love that you did it through a referral, right? Through who did you say it was? Your sister's neighbor?
Yeah, my sister-in-law of my neighbor. Yeah, so
Your
just
sister-in-law of your neighbor. Got it.
yeah. So there's my neighbor from across the street, and she's like, my sister-in-law is having a lot of sleep problems, and yeah.
How did your neighbor know to refer you?
She was a friend, and we had connected over coffee a couple of times, and I had told her what I was doing, and she was just, I mean, she hadn't used me, so she couldn't even vouch for my credibility, right? But she had just told her sister-in-law, maybe this could work. And
But she could vouch for your character, right? And your integrity.
for sure. Yeah.
I love that story because I think just being like, we think about often, like, even when we do our business online, we forget that being visible offline and just talking about what we do and being present and sharing like what we do online, offline can lead to paying clients too.
For sure. And I definitely think that's been one of my main ways in some ways of getting clients is just being myself, not pushing my expertise on to other people when they don't really want it. But when people come and ask me or say, what do you do? Just sharing openly about that and just being myself. And sometimes that leads to a referral or, someone that I haven't worked with, like this lady, she'll talk to someone else and say, hey, I know this girl that does sleep coaching, and get a paid client for that. So.
It's amazing, Rachel. So like, I know it hasn't been, even though like on the outside, someone listening is probably thinking like, oh my gosh, like Rachel, like her life is perfect. Like she has it all together, right? Like that's there. Like for someone that's listening, that's brand new in their business and feeling like, oh my gosh, how do I even get to the point where Rachel's at? Like, what has been your biggest hurdle, your biggest hashtag heart-centered problem thus far, and how have you faced it?
So yeah, there's lots of things that I could mention. I think one of the main things that I've found is learning not to be perfect, learning to release control. I mean, I had this first client and then it was pretty quiet actually for the next few months after that. Like it didn't, just all of a sudden start that I had a full load of clients. And it's only started happening kind of 2 years down the track now. And I think that was, not giving up, not just kind of sticking in there, still staying visible, still talking about my stuff, even though I didn't feel like I was getting that many clients. And once I started getting more clients, then trying to figure out how to negotiate that a little bit better, because I'm also someone that I love to give and I love to give freely, but sometimes when you're running a business, I mean, you're trying to earn from it as well. So you want to be paid actually for the hours that you're investing. And so, for example, at the beginning, my prices were really, really low. And at some point I had to say, it's not actually worth it. Like it's kind of an expensive hobby in a way. And so bumping up those prices, having the courage to actually do that. And then also setting boundaries, if obviously people that need help, and these families that I work with are often desperate for some sleep. And depending on the personality too of the people that I work with, some are more demanding than others. And so trying to manage that within, I mean, I have 2 kids, another one on the way. So trying to manage that in a way that's actually doable, rather than feeling I have to be the savior for everyone that I'm working with. And I think just completely practically that meant for me not always being available to answer texts on sleep questions during support week that I do with my clients. Sometimes saying I'll get back to you soon about that, or saying I'm taking the day off today with my family. Just those kind of things, setting my boundaries, sometimes turning my phone off actually, and just not hearing it, because sometimes if I hear it, I'm like, I should go in. I should go look at that.
Because you serve people well, right? Almost to a fault.
Yes.
It's like, and I mean, not just you, all of us, right? Like, it's like, we don't have a problem of not knowing how to like show up and serve our people, right? So it's almost like, how do I make it sustainable and how do I empower them? Like, how do you feel like those boundaries have actually benefited your clients in the long run?
I think I've been able to be more focused. Like when I'm answering their questions, I'm able to actually really be present to them and answer their questions. So I'm not, trying to juggle all sorts of different things at one time. And I'm not stressed. If I've had time with my family and I've had, if my kids aren't running around and I'm trying to answer them at the same time, I'm actually in a better space and I feel like I can give them the answers that they need more. And yeah, I think especially if my main goal isn't, obviously I want to earn through my business, but I really want to support people, support these families with sleep. And I feel like it's just, you have to learn that balance of, what can I actually do? And it's okay if I say, no, I can't actually help right now, as much as I would love to. You can't be the person that's always out there.
I love that.
And maybe in kind of that same thing, I don't know, like with marketing strategies, I feel like there's also so much pressure sometimes from the outside of, you should be doing this or you could be doing this, email lists and sales funnels and Facebook groups and all of promoting and all of this different stuff. And I tried for a while to balance it all as well as my client load, and it just got too much. And I think they're really knowing yourself, me figuring out how I actually work, and that generally is actually more with recommendations and just being able to really invest in my clients, and then they refer me onwards. That's the main way that I've actually gotten more clients. And sometimes I show up, I have a Facebook group, I'm present in there in case people want help, but I'm not actually posting every day. And for me, I've realized, like, I used to feel super guilty about that, but I feel like, no, that's okay for me. And for other people, it's going to look different. But I think finding your own groove in your business is super important.
I love that you brought that up. So powerful, right? Like knowing the main way that you bring in clients through your business, and then letting the other strategies be kind of like a side thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it takes a little bit of time to figure out, obviously, what does work the best. And so you have to try out a few avenues and see what works. But at the end of the day, I think it has to feel right inside. Otherwise, you're just going to always feel kind of spread too thin.
How did it feel when you started giving yourself permission and putting those boundaries to just focus on that main flow of clients through referrals?
At the beginning, it was super nerve-wracking because I was like,
is this gonna work?
I think this is gonna work, but I'm not actually 100% sure. And it felt like, oh my gosh, am I cutting my foot off by not posting, every day in my Facebook group or whatever? But I think then over time you start to realize the benefit. You feel more at peace, and you actually are generating sales. So.
So good, Rachel. Well, thank you for sharing with us. And if people are watching and they are like, oh my gosh, this Rachael girl, like, how do I connect with her? Or how do I connect my neighbor with Rachael? Tell us how they can find you online and connect with you.
So the best way to connect with me is through my website, probably, which is www.babysleepcoach.ch. And the main way that I like connecting people with people first is doing a 15-minute free consult. So just getting to know the family, hearing their story, what they're struggling with, and kind of what approach they want to go for, and taking it from there.
Thank you, Rachel. Grateful for you and sharing your story. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.